And KTM is dead.
Yep.
But we are live.
We are live here on the interwebs, doing internet stuff. Yep. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
That's right. And apparently there's some chatter about some porcelain thrones for your royal pattiness.
Yes. News to me, my friend. I just work here. That's not very often, actually.
Yeah, sometimes. So, welcome everyone. Episode 23. We're going to talk a little bit about like what's going on with KTM because it ain't good. And then, depending upon how things go, we might talk about what it's like to ride in cold weather because there was a couple chilly mornings this week, and I rode in it, man.
I have not been riding my bike, which makes me very sad. But it is what it is.
Porque no ride bike.
I have a fun neurological disorder that is causing me to get super gnarly migraines, and part of those migraines is sudden and excruciating vertigo.
Oh, is it like a flare up or something recently, or
like basically, yeah, the past couple of months it's been a lot of like, if I get a migraine, there is a very high likelihood that I also get gnarly vertigo. But the vertigo is like a light switch. Like it doesn't like, oh, I'm getting dizzy. It's I'm falling over now. Like I'm fine and now I'm falling over.
Wow. So and then does it just stop?
Yeah, it just goes away.
Weird.
Like the migraine stays, but the vertigo will just come and go. The scary thing is like it's happened a couple times on the bike now, and I've like blinked and woken up on the ground like at a red light, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on the ground, my bike is on the ground. What just happened? So then I pick the bike up and like, so like it's proper scary. At least I think it is. So I've been avoiding the bike just from a safety standpoint. But I'm on a new medication that seems to be helping. So
good. I hate to hear all that, but hopefully there's a path forward. That's always a good thing.
That's, we're staying positive. We'll see how it goes.
So you need to go back and talk to Honda because I know they were prototyping at least a couple years ago that self-balancing bike.
Yeah. I don't know if it would self-balance my 300-pound butt, but it would probably help.
You said but.
We're adults.
I was like, I'm 12. This is why we are professionals. So what I want to do is I'm kind of trying out this new format of, going to hit the quick shifter, which is just a couple items. It's little news, but then that'll kind of maybe prompt some other discussion before we get into all the KTM stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
We're just having a good time with it.
Let's do it, man.
To the quick shifter.
Shannon, I refuse to get a trike or a spider. Actually, I don't. Can they hear me right now? I don't even know.
Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay, cool. Right, that's what we just play the sound now.
Well, there's a little splash screen too. So.
Yeah, there's a splash screen.
But I'm not doing the screen share because the last time I did that, it hosed something up. So.
Yeah, it is much fun. I don't have the new OBS set up on this machine yet. I got a new machine, so if stream goes down, it's on you, buddy.
I know. Oh gosh, I hope there's not any bad weather. All right, so just a couple headlines. First, the big one, in case anybody doesn't follow him, Chase is a dad.
Chase is a dad. That is very, very exciting. Congratulations to Chase and Heather and new baby Leo.
That's right. That name sounds exhausting.
Boo. Chat, boo this man. Boo this man.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not, but still.
Tell me I'm not the first one to catch that, though.
You're not.
Okay, good.
Yep, so good. But no, yeah, little baby Leo, they had a fairly long stay at hospital just to be sure mom and baby are good. But from what I understand, they're happy and healthy. They're home now, so
I think I
exciting.
saw on one of Heather's Instagram post, but it was like a couple days labor and
6.
Okay.
Yeah, she got I don't know. I don't know how much I'm privy to say because it's not my baby, not my family. But I know that it was like no sleep for 40 hours, started the induction, like getting induced, and then no sleep for a couple more days after that.
Wow.
Like she just was an absolute trooper. And sleep has not been kind to the two-wheeled household over there. So they're home now and resting and catching up on sleep and enjoying the joys of parenthood with an infant. And by that I mean trying to sleep when you can and tons of dirty diapers. Chase has called me to already not understand how a baby can poop 5 times throughout a single night while the baby should be sleeping.
Well, you know, they're weird because they're just trying to get their functions in order and
yeah, exactly.
routine. It's you know, I've been there. It's
I have not, thankfully.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying this to be true. There's more burden on the mama, you know, for certain reasons. But it's still it's a lot. But they are troopers, and
yeah, but
it's an adjustment. But
yeah, those two are a good team, and Chase is taking off basically all of December, all of January, and I think some of February even, to be there for Mama and to do everything he can to help out and be a good getting YouTube ads, disappointing. And to be a good human being, and a good papa. So we're excited to again just kind of see how their little family grows and
yeah.
You know, best wishes to them. And again, Mama's happy and healthy, baby's happy and healthy. That's the important thing.
Absolutely. So does this mean that we're going to see some Patty Rick first rides or something?
No. That is we've basically filmed everything needed through the end of the year for the channel, and then obviously we do Radio Silence in January. And we have late January we should be starting production for February.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I am working from home. I'm in my new house now. I moved since you've seen me last. Yeah.
A lot of changes happening.
A lot of change, a lot of things that are different. What's been going on with you? I know we spoke a couple weeks ago. How's that process been going? How you holding up?
Yeah, just for those unaware, so it was like 4 weeks ago my dad passed away. So, but you know, we're doing okay. Family's doing okay. Mom's doing good. We went back on Thanksgiving just to spend time with her, and there's a disc golf course up there that my nephew designed, and it's named after my dad. So we played around up there. You know, took Mom so she could walk it, and she just kind of. There was a few times she was just lingering behind, and it was like, "Are you okay? Are you tired?" And she's like, "Just taking it in." So it was.
Yeah, it's the one at Carson Newman, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I've played that course. It's a very, very good course.
It is. It's 18 holes. So
yeah, it's a long one. It's for my fat ass. It's rough.
Well, I know, but it's cool, and it's like it's been part of tournaments already and everything. So. But yeah, I mean, you know, families doing okay. We, you know, there's those moments where you're just like, man,
it sucks.
There's a hole here. But,
yeah.
But we're okay because I did a little thing on the last episode. I don't know where I kind of had a little my own little eulogy. I hijacked LiveOnTwoWheels for it, but you know, we had him for a long time, given all the challenges he had. So, but we're good.
We're good. Good.
But so otherwise, just trying to get back into the swing of things, trying to get motivated for my little nook of the internet of ghost stuff. I've got a couple product things to
that's what I've heard.
I've got a like a hard backpack that's actually on the way. A little screen, the navigation thing. So it's from the small brands. Let's admit it. Like
that's okay.
I'm into minors, but
yep, that's all right. You got to start somewhere.
But maybe someday I'll get called up to the big leagues. But no, I mean having fun with that and just heading into the holidays, man. So
yeah, the holidays are always the holidays are generally a rough time of year for a lot of folks, and just between like the financial constraint and family, shenanigans. So I'm happy to be making progress. It's where I'm at.
Yeah, there is sometimes depending upon the family dynamic with in-laws and outlaws and the financial obligations, as you said. But I think we're kind of to a point where we look at things and we're like, you know what? Hey, siblings, we don't have to spend money on each other. Let's hang out. And so
yeah, me and my family are very, very similar. We used to go like everybody went all out for everybody, and now it's like get grandma something, get like your parents something, and like that's it. We're just there to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
So that was a bit of a long first quick shifter item.
Yeah, sorry.
Dovetailed it. Us going off topic. Who knew? Second item.
Tangents? What?
Honda has had a recall stop sale on some Africa Twins. A software issue can cause the engine to hesitate. It's related to traction control not doing its thing properly. But it was actually because it was from a previous model. So they probably just didn't update the software for, I don't know, maybe some just slight changes in whatever they tweaked. Like which, is not a terrible recall. It's not like
a software
your brakes may go up.
Yeah. It's like hey, your traction control's being weird, so your throttle's being weird. Like that's a software update, not a huge deal. Hey Garrett, what's up? Talking to chat for a second. But yeah, Honda's pretty rare for recalls in recent memory. So like, Honda does a really good job, and I know Yamaha does a good job of like, if something goes down, they jump on it really quickly, and it's generally an easy fix. So good on them for getting on it early.
Yeah, and a lot of people look at it, oh my gosh, look at this big company letting stuff slip through the cracks. I'm like, oh, they found it and jump on it.
Yeah,
good.
It's like good. They're fixing it. They're not pulling a Chevy where they just let it happen and tell you to deal with it.
All right. Last item for quick shifter is actually a little contest for our people in the chat.
Chat, here we go.
So it's a little trivia question that I asked on a previous episode that nobody got. And there's a very unique prize that's sitting to my left here for the winner, if they so choose. So here's the question, or the trivia or research item.
Yeah.
What was the motorcycle manufacturer and model that was discussed on Live on Two Wheels on the first episode that I helped out with?
Ooh. Oh my gosh, that's a really tough question. I don't think I know that answer, actually.
No, it's kind of tough, but here's some hints. I'm going to go ahead and give the hints up front. I didn't yet have the handle of Ghost.
Oh, man.
So, and it is also a model that is not sold in the United States.
Anymore, or has never been sold in the U.S.?
It has not. It is a newer model. It was...
I have an idea of what it is.
So the first one I see in the chat that is correct, I'll try to keep an eye on that and check back. So anyway, I just thought it'd be a fun little thing. Actually, I'll give you two options on what your prize could be.
Huh.
You'll be thrilled. So anyway, that's yes, Hobbit, you are wrong.
Yep. Not the Verse 650. We do get those in the US. So it's a bike that it's never been sold in the US?
Correct. It was a new model that was it's still sold in Europe. Like it was a new model for a well-known manufacturer. It was using an existing engine. So just kind of in a different platform.
Right. Yeah, I have a couple of ideas, but I don't think they're right. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. But
2 years old. So
yeah,
anyway,
All right.
I'll keep an eye on the chat, see if anybody gets it.
Sure.
All right, let's talk about the big issue here. KTM is...
Yeah.
Now, okay, before we get into like their current situation,
sure.
Before all this happened, what are your thoughts on just KTM in general, like compared to other brands? Like, where do you see them in the pecking order? Your overall vibes about it?
I am not a huge fan of KTM. I think they make a brilliant set of off-road bikes. They are very, very fast. They do what they are designed to do very well. Their on-road stuff is, for me, just not really interesting. Like, I don't care for sport bikes. I don't really care for naked bikes. Their super adventures are bananas. I love those things. They're crazy, but they are psychotic to try to ride.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't like. They're just bananas. Like, would I buy a KTM? No. I don't think there's a world in which I would buy a KTM product.
Yeah, I mean, especially when there's other things.
I mean, like, regardless of what is currently happening with the company, like,
yeah,
I think they are overpriced for what they are. The quality of, like, I'm really big on the quality of things you touch often. So, like, I hate their buttons. All of their buttons feel super kind of cheap and chintzy to me. Some people really like those, like, that style of buttons. It's just not for me. I'm not a huge KTM fan. What about you?
I'm along the same lines. I don't like hate KTM or anything, but it's just I'm like, like nothing appeals to me. When I was, in the few times that I've been looking at bikes, I have never even considered a KTM in the conversation.
Yeah.
I've heard about reliability.
Cost of maintenance, cost of ownership.
Now I have heard it said that, like, any bike made nowadays, whatever brand, is probably as reliable as the top brand 20 years ago, just because of the way manufacturing is kind of, machining and things like that.
Yeah. Everybody's generally caught up.
Yeah, but still, like, it just doesn't appeal to me. I think I'm just kind of a, the tried and true big brands. I don't know. I just get some.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, you have to. I feel like I need to be gentle with this. I'm not trying to piss anybody off per se, but, like, I am, like, I just don't really care for their naked bikes. The last KTM that, like, I had considered purchasing was like a 990 Adventure, and that was when they were, frankly, horribly unreliable.
Right.
Like a buddy of mine owns one. Or let me phrase that. Mark was telling me a story about a buddy of his. Another buddy of mine has since bought one. But, like, he carries a water pump with him all the time. Like, carries a spare water pump on his 990. Because he knows it's going to fail at some point.
Okay, I do have to say, the Dragon has the bike correct. So I have to shift over to that.
Yep.
Congratulations. Yay!
Hey!
It is the Honda NT 1100. So that is their kind of sport touring bike that uses the Africa Twin 1100 engine. That's not over here.
Was that the first? That bike didn't come out that long ago, did it?
It was announced, I think, in 21 for the 22 model year in Europe.
Wow, okay.
And so, yeah, that was the first.
Fair enough. That just makes me feel old.
All right, hold on. I gotta say, Dragon, send me a DM in Discord. I forgot I can just tell him. I was about to type a response to him, like, hey, DM.
Just talk to him. He's right there.
So here's the prize if you want it. You ready for this?
It's a bag of Ghost Toast Kit Kats. Oh,
Ghost Toast Kit Kat. And I have not opened this. So get a little sweet treat here if you want it. Or if you're not a fan of this, I will 3D print you a Ghost toothpaste squeegee thing.
There you go.
Depending upon what you want. So just send me a DM and I'll get you a little fun something. But yeah, it's not a big gift, but you guessed anyway, so whatever.
Fair enough. You got it right.
Anyway, back to KTM. So generally, it's just kind of, and let's think about what are all the brands that KTM has for those that don't know. They've got Husqvarna, Gas.
Yeah, they own Husky outright. They own Gas outright. They own a majority stake in MV Agusta, which they recently purchased.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're part of the Perrier Mobility Group, and they own quite a few other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But it's just KTM, the KTM part that's umbrellas over those motorcycle brands, I'll just say. That's what's hurting.
yeah, so essentially from what I understand, they also build like the KTM Expo, which is like a car and a GT4 race car. And Perrier Group not too long ago basically reached out to the financial world and was like, "Hey, we're looking for funding for X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah." Basically for what they call bridge financing, which is like, "Hey, we need cash to bridge this amount of time gap, to basically pay our bills because we're overextended." They did not find such cash. Long story short,
No cash. No
yeah,
cash.
not nearly enough.
Oh yeah.
Oh geez, what's that?
Nick Ingles, member for 21 months. My
Wow,
man.
there
He
you
was
go,
the
Nick.
he was the first member. If you want a ghost toothpaste squeegee, send me a message on Discord. I'll hook you up with one because you were the first member. He says, let's just admit that anyone that owns or tries to own MV Agusta will be hurt from it. Seems anyone that touches that brand goes south.
I mean,
He's
Nick,
not wrong.
You're not wrong. MV Agusta might actually be the plague.
Didn't Harley have a share of it for a while, or did it pass through?
I feel like everyone and their mother has at one point owned a little bit of MV Agusta.
MV Agusta is a motorcycle prostitute.
Yeah, MV Agusta is like the village bicycle. Everybody's had a ride, you know? Like, it's just...
And it's expensive to...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and MV Agusta... when I first saw it, MV Agusta, and I became aware of it, I was like, oh, this might be a very kind of like...
Yeah, they're pretty.
Ducati, Lamborghini type of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they used one in The Dark Knight. Or was it The Dark Knight Rises? No, Dark
I don't
Knight.
remember. One of the movies.
Yes, Dark Knight had it. So I was like, oh, these are pretty elite. You know, and I thought they were real fancy and stuff. And then I've realized that if you own an MV Agusta, you're compensating for something.
Yeah, it's a very, very expensive bike.
It's a status bike.
It's 100% a status bike. They're very, very expensive. They don't do... I don't want to just shit on a brand, but they don't really do anything particularly well. Like, they're fast because they make an assload of power, but the brakes aren't great and they don't really turn well. The suspension dynamics just aren't that great. And if you want to get one of their bikes that is good, you're spending $40,000.
Yeah.
And I would rather buy 4 Hondas for 10 than one MV Agusta that's super expensive. And just dealers are hard to come by. I know that WoW is now a dealer, or they were a dealer and they're getting out of it over in Marietta, but yeah, they've got a non-existent dealer network in the US.
Yeah, I remember seeing some bikes over there. I think I was at WoW maybe earlier this year. You know, and I saw a few, and I was like, they look good. You know, if you're buying it for a piece of art, yeah, that's what it is.
Great.
But it's not a performance. It's not a practical. So
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that was almost like the tipping point for KTM and all of this. Is they spent I'm sure they spent millions or more to get MV Agusta, and then they like turned around and looked at the bank account and was like, "Oh, what happened?"
Crap.
And it seems like it's a bunch of just poor decisions or just not paying attention to the bottom line over the past few years, and just a bunch of dominoes that were falling that has led to this.
Yeah, I feel like they've done a good job of, in recent years, restructuring in a way that reduces their operational costs really, really well. They've moved a lot of their manufacturing to India. They've let CF Moto take over a couple more projects for them. They've done a good job of like, hey, we are spending too much money on manufacturing, or spending too much money on X, Y, and Z. We need to move it somewhere that's less expensive. But you have to spend a ton of money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the ROI just hasn't been there for them in the short term, which again is why they were looking for bridge financing. Like, hey, we've run the numbers. We know that this will pay off. Like, this large investment we made will make sense in a couple of years. But I was just looking at their P&Ls and their financial stuff. You know, they revenued in 2023 something like just shy of $2 billion with a profit of like under 300 million. And like that margin is just not gonna cut it.
I know it sounds like a ton of money, but
it's yeah, but it's just not. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but like we're talking, you know, if you're spending, let's see, how much debt are they in at the moment?
I saw last figure I saw was like 1.5 billion in euros, which is
so that was in June.
Yeah, so that's like 1.6 billion US dollars. It's pretty close. So I mean,
yeah,
it's
but
probably gone up.
I think they're close to double that now.
Wow. In just like 5 or 6 months, they've doubled their debt.
Yeah, so 2023, they had a turnover or revenue of 1.96 billion and a profit of 108 million. That's a 5% profit margin.
Mm-hmm.
You can't run a company that big with that kind of profit margin.
Yeah, especially with the moves they've been making.
Yeah.
Like MV Agusta purchase and just taking on.
Yeah, so like KTM F&E, which is just different branch of the company, $168 million in revenue, a loss of $9 million. It's in debt $105 million. Like, they have just racked up tons and tons of debt. 2.9 billion are owed to Austrian banks.
Woo!
Like 1.3 billion is owed to other banks, and 365 million is owed to other suppliers. Like, they are, so that's $4.5 billion in debt, and you're profiting 100 million. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know how this got so out of hand, but they fucked up.
Now, I did see that, you know, part of this could also be contributed to when there was the whole COVID thing happening and demand for motorcycles went up because people were, you know, buying bikes, which was great for the motorcycle industry. Get out there and do the social distancing thing, whatever. Most manufacturers just still had the same production capacity. It was just harder to get them. There was just more demand, but the supply was steady. So, and that's what caused prices. KTM, I guess, taking a chance was like, let's ramp up production. Let's make a bunch of bikes, put them out there, and people will buy them up. Only thing is, they didn't all get bought up. And so now they've produced so many bikes without getting that, you know, revenue back for all of it. And I think you had said before we went on air something like when they're cranking out that many bikes, you know, and ramping it up that fast.
Yeah, your quality control.
Boo. And KTM has not had a reputation, at least from my perspective, of being one of the most reliable brands anyway. And so just, I think just probably having to handle that and, you know, not watching the bottom line over the last couple of years, along with just the economic, you know, fluctuations. I don't know how different things are in Europe where they're more highly impacted than the US, but, you know, I feel like they just weren't watching things, man.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, they are, on paper, the largest motorcycle manufacturer in Europe. On paper.
So, to that, do you think they got too big too fast?
I think they
took
may
on too
have.
much.
I think that may have been the thing, with between like Husky, they've had a controlling stake in for a long time. They outright bought Gas, what, like 4 or 5 years ago? Wasn't all that long ago. And then they just bought a large share of, again, in Via Gusta. I think they've spread very, very thin, very, very quickly.
And didn't build that foundation.
Yeah, they didn't build like the infrastructure around running yourself that lean. And as things started slipping, they've now, they're more than $3 billion in debt. They've entered, again, this self-administration period, which is basically in the U.S. it would be called like a Chapter 11, which is a debt restructuring that's court-ordered. This self-administration is the last step you do before it becomes a court issue thing.
Right.
Legally, they have a 90 days to figure their situation out. And
basically,
a lot of that
come
can
up with a
be
plan also to how they're going to pay back.
Yeah, basically it becomes you have 90 days to get a plan together and start making actionable like strides towards lowering your operating costs, increasing revenue, or increasing profits, and restructuring debt in a way that it becomes viable for you to actually pay it off in a reasonable time frame. This happens with a lot of companies all the time. It's pretty rare that it happens to a company of this size. But there's probably, I'd be willing to bet on like a global scale, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of major corporations, like major companies that do this all the time, and you'll never hear about it.
Right.
But like,
well, and to the normal person out there, they don't know about this. I mean, if someone who's not into motorcycling hasn't probably heard about this.
Yeah, probably has no idea. It's just, I'm still trying to like do the logistical gymnastics to figure out how they got themselves in this situation.
Well, I know that also, I think it was the early part of 23 or something, they started handling like the European distribution for CF Moto. And then shortly after, before they had the, majority stake in Via Gusta, they were doing distribution for them.
KTM does still own a significant portion of CF Moto. But it's not nearly as big as it used to be. They've had to sell a lot of it back.
Yeah. So I wonder if even just those, the distribution costs, somehow added onto it. Like, I feel like they just took too much, got too much on their plate, and like you said, stretched too thin. So with all this that happening, what's your prediction on, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Sure.
Like, what is the outcome of this? Do they restructure and just start making their way back up and everybody's like, oh, okay. Are they gone? Does somebody buy them? What do you think?
So realistically, and I had this conversation with my dad yesterday, who worked in what we'll call high risk credit for a very long time. He worked in like the financial world. So like this is what he used to deal with, is bankruptcies and debt restructurings all the time. And we kind of spoke about it, and he looked into it a little bit. Realistically, if the thing that makes the most sense is they're probably going to start selling companies or their shares in companies. So they're going to liquidate Via Gusta more than likely. Like just realistically, they're going to liquidate
now.
They're going to liquidate Via Gusta. There's a real possibility they liquidate Gas and a significant portion of their ownership of Husky. That is what will bring them just cash quickly. I know they have about between 500 and 750 planned layoffs before the end of the year. They currently only employ like 2,300 people. So I say only 2,300 people is a lot of people, but of
their size.
That's a huge portion. I mean, a fifth of their, of their workforce is going to end up laid off, which is going to suck. It's going to impact a lot of families. Like, that's awful. No one wants to see that, obviously. they've made like a YouTube video and like a press release kind of deal, which is how this was all announced a little over 9 days ago now. They're calling it the pit stop for the future, which is basically,
I saw that.
Yeah, they're gonna basically go over quite a few things of how they plan on restructuring the debt and all that fun stuff. Whatever, how they say it in PR versus how it actually happens are two very different things.
Right.
I think it would not surprise me that they sell in Via Gusta. They probably sell all, if not most, of Gas. They will probably sell, I don't want to say more than half, but a significant amount of Husky. Or they will try to do these things. Mm-hmm. If that works, great. It will probably pull them out of their self-administration. If that is not the case, they will file for a proper Chapter 11, which is a court-ordered, or the courts will require them to file a Chapter 11, which is like restructuring of debt. They will end
bankruptcy, like officially.
Yeah, I mean it's a form of bankruptcy. Yeah, it's not going to necessarily.
European version is.
Well, I mean, Chapter 11 happens in the U.S. all the time as well. You heard like Barnes and Noble's gone through it a couple of times. What do you call it? The most recent one that's probably notable to most folks is like Red Lobster. Went through a Chapter 11, sold off a ton of property. O'Charlie's.
I said that's still a restaurant?
They're still around. O'Charlie's went through a massive deal to restructure their debt. And what they ended up doing is selling most of a lot of restaurants have like the real estate. They own the building and the land that all their buildings are on, which is really smart for them to do in the 80s and 90s when they could buy it cheaply. So now they're going through and selling all of it. Raising Cane's went through and bought a bunch of the O'Charlie's locations. But what they'll end up doing is they'll sell off factories, they will sell off machining equipment, they will probably move all, if not most, of their manufacturing to India and China, which they've already done a lot of. Mm-hmm. But basically the courts are going to say, you have to figure out how to run leaner, or we will force you to shut down because you're being irresponsible at this point. And the reason it's a court issue is because basically, if they can't pay it back, all of these other companies, banks and things are just SOL out of $3 billion.
Right.
Which will bankrupt multiple other companies and multiple banks. Like, the reason you see these massive companies go through these changes is not due to, like, you're being punished because you're dumb. It's like, you're being punished so you don't fuck the rest of the economy.
Yeah, and it's crazy that how much impact that can have, especially with like a big company like this that has, all these different markets. And that's crazy. And it basically boils down, I guess, to also their debt right now is potentially exceeding what their assets are.
Oh, it is way more than what they're. It's not potentially. It is hilariously out of proportion.
Well, I saw on some articles they use the term insolvency, which is basically meaning that your liabilities and debt is exceeding your assets.
Yeah.
And they're trying to I think they're trying to avoid that classification. Maybe that's what the European kind of designation is. And so they're in this 90-day self-administration to say, no, we're good.
We'll figure it out. Sorry.
But man, so you think they're going to sell off those brands or parts of them, and then come out of it, and then in a year we'll be like, remember that time that
I never said anything about them coming out of it.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, they're talking about revenuing half of what they owe on an annual basis. They're profiting 5% of what they're revenuing, so they're profiting sub 2%, sub 1% of what they owe to the world. The world, all these other institutions or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they're going to sell off everything they can. They're going to move manufacturing to cheaper places. They are probably going to they're probably going to fire sale most of their inventory just to come up with cash.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good possibility we see, and this is a terrible idea, there's a good possibility we see 0% financing on KTMs for a hot minute and like, quadruple digit discounts from the manufacturer on bikes.
Would you buy one then?
No. Why would I buy a bike from a company that's literally falling apart? That's like buying a.
No, that's fair.
That's like Pontiac announces they're going out of business, so you go buy a Grand Prix. Like, why? I think Perrier's got a lot of money. They have a lot of other revenue streams, but they're just, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, as of June 30th to now, their debt increased 89%. How? How do you almost double your debt in 6 months? The issue is that debt is set to mature in 2025, and what that means is they are required to pay it back by then. That's the problem. That's the issue. That's why all these companies are like, I'm going to borrow this money for 20 years or 10 years or whatever. Well, that 10 years is coming up and they don't have the cash.
I feel like at some point we're going to hear a story about one of these like CEOs or something just living on an island, and it was like, oh, he took a few dollars out of the bank. I mean, you hope it's not that, but yeah, I mean, whatever your thoughts were about KTM and their company culture, reliability, whatever, before all this, but now them just not keeping an eye on this stuff, it makes you just really question everybody in the administration there. At least it does for me. Like,
yeah, like clearly,
even if I considered a KTM before, now I'm just like,
you guys clearly aren't making smart decisions. So how could I trust you to build a bike that's going to last? When now I know that even if this company survives, the next 5 to 10 years of this company are just build the cheapest fucking thing we can, sell it for the most amount of money that we can, and hopefully it lasts 5 years, or they've done the math where like most people in Europe get a new bike every 3 to 5 years. So if it can last 3 to 5, it'll go in the fucking garbage and they'll buy another one. Hopefully. Like that's how a lot of these companies end up doing this. Like just, you hate to see it on such a big company, but.
So even if a bike was like dirt cheap, you wouldn't buy one just to go tool around in and just till the wheels fell off of it?
I mean, yeah, but how long till the wheels fell off?
Oh, that's true.
I could buy a dirt cheap old Yamaha and I know it's probably going to outlive me.
Yeah.
I buy a KTM and if I can get 5 years out of it, I'm doing a good job. Like, that's pretty shit.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean like... you look at your big four, your Japanese big four, and it's like, yeah, I'm just going to put oil in it once every couple of decades. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Does it, does it have oil? Great. It's fine. Whatever.
I think it's got canola. I think it's got canola oil in there.
No. Avocado oil.
Oh. Oh man.
Well, so what do you think is going to happen? How do you?
I don't know. I feel like, and I'm no business or financial expert, but I feel like with the news that's come out with this, and like just so quickly, and it's just so big, I feel like behind the curtain of that pit stop that they've said, there is like just pure panic.
Oh yeah, the people are shitting their pants.
And I don't see any way, I'm not seeing, even if they sell off all the other brands other than just the KTM Orange, I don't see them coming out as just KTM themselves in the future as they
were. This is almost a world where someone's going to have to buy them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And I was like, well, who would do that? I don't see any of the Japanese Big Four doing that at all. I could see, there is an Indian company, actually in India, not Indian Motorcycles Feathers. It's, the actual country. I think they work with them to produce some of the bikes. Mm-hmm. Like, aren't they kind of a big motor Baja or something? I think I saw
Baja.
Oh my. Um,
Yep.
I don't know if they would be.
I
don't know
don't know if
big enough to absorb that and kind of because whoever buys it has to have some type of, they have a responsibility then to the debt. Right?
Yeah, it does. Basically, if you buy a company, you're buying their how most companies are bought these days is you either buy enough of their stock to move a significant percentage of their stock into a private controlled stake by like a single company or entity, or you buy their debt.
Yeah.
So like that's how if people get their houses foreclosed on and somebody else buys it at auction, like you're buying what they owe on the house. You're not buying the house for what it's actually worth.
Right.
So, theoretically, KTM, it's revenuing $100 million a year. That makes it valuations are done over a 5 or 10 year period. That only makes it a $500 million company. Or if you do a 10-year valuation, $1 billion company. No one's buying $1 billion company with tripled. Yeah, like it's realistically for KTM to survive, they need to get rid of.
You're looking in the chat. I see you.
Right, they need to get rid of more than $2 billion of debt. I don't know how they're going to do that. On $100 million of profit, that just doesn't mathematically. The math ain't math in there. They're going to have to sell off basically everything they can to get down to have a debt to income ratio less than 10%, which would put them they need to owe under $1 billion, have a valuation of at least $1 billion, which they don't have right now, and then someone needs to buy them realistically to keep them from falling apart for somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $600 million.
Who's doing that?
Nobody.
Because
if you buy that company at $300 to $600 million, you're gonna require that you still owe that $1 billion to whoever the fuck KTM owes it to. So really, you're buying it for 1.3 or 1.6 billion, which it's not profiting for me. Like as somebody who invested in the stock market a fair bit, I have nobody in Barrier Group at all. I would fire sale it if it was me. I would be dumping that stock as fast as I can.
Yeah, well, and their stock also went as soon as a little bit of this news came out, which made it even worse for them.
Yeah, so. But I mean, that's one of those things where if it had just come out that this was happening and they didn't have here's our plan, we're gonna fix it, we're looking forward, it would take even further. The idea of putting out that video at those press conferences is to tell the investors hey, we have a plan, we understand we're in this shitty situation, we're dumb for getting here, we know that, sorry, but here's our plan to get out of this situation. And their plan doesn't make any sense, so I'm not really sure. I don't know who's making the ideas over there or who's making these decisions, but I think Andy actually makes a really good point in chat about Husky. Is Husky makes all their money on lawn equipment. KTM needs to start rebranding some fucking lawn equipment. They need to pull.
Yeah.
They need to pull a Subaru and become KTM Heavy Industries, and they need to start. Cool, they happen to build bikes. They need to make money doing anything else. Subaru doesn't make money building cars. Subaru Heavy Industries makes money building lawn equipment and construction equipment and buildings and all sorts of industrial equipment. They build ships. They build airplanes. That's where they make their money. They happen to do cars because it's something neat to do and it does make money, but not nearly enough.
Yeah. To that point, it was funny. I didn't understand how there was the big corporations and whatever, that, how they did other things. I kind of knew. An example, Kawasaki.
Yep.
A few years ago, we were taking a trip to Washington, D.C., got on the metro, and we're riding along. I look up, and a little plate on the rail car had the Kawasaki K and said Kawasaki Heavy Industries. And I was like, Oh, they. Oh.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it just.
they.
And I noticed that on my, you look at the engine on my bike, there's a little KHI on there for Kawasaki Heavy Industries, and
Mhm.
but I think like Kawasaki Motors has then now split off from that to focus just on
Yeah, like it's
motorcycle.
Kawasaki is a holding group,
Yeah,
and then there's Kawasaki Heavy Industries and Kawasaki like Mobility is probably what they call it,
yeah,
and like
and
those are two separate things.
and it makes sense, but it's also just seeing it and you just go,
You're
yeah,
like,
wow,
duh.
okay,
It's
yeah,
like you
so
see Hyundai on all the shipping containers all the
right.
time, and like on major like huge industrial equipment. And you're like, what the fuck? Like that really Hyundai? All right,
I
whatever.
thought they just made
Like,
cars, but
yeah, I thought
yeah,
they made mediocre cars. Like, well, Hyundai cars recently have been really good, but 10 years ago they were mediocre.
yeah. Well, so I guess after this 90-day whatever that they're what 9 days into, and
Yeah, so they're like technically, I think they're legally 10 days in at this point. After the 90-day period, they will have like a reassessment of their position to look at not only their debts but also their operating expenditures and their projected incomes. Which their projected income and their actual income was off by 26% last year. They made 26% less than they thought they were going to.
oops.
Yeah, they fucked up real bad. So like investors are going to be like, "Cool, we don't care what you think you're going to make. You can't even hit those numbers."
Right.
So
I mean, if you were 26 in the good, they might let that error slide, but
yeah,
even still, you're like, how can you not project that? You got some bad analysts or something, but
yeah. I mean, like
um,
it's it's hard to say what the world is going to do when it comes to bike stuff. But they will either
true.
file for proper Chapter 11 via the European courts, which is a court mandated restructuring of debt, which means that like a bunch of investigators will come in and like shit tons of CPAs and like accountants and will like comb through all of their books. And then we're going to see not 500 or 700 people getting laid off. We're going to see 1,500 people get laid off.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is going to become a skeleton crew. It is going to be a cool sell Husky for what you can get for it.
Right.
Like not a profit, not a like it is sell like liquidate as fast as you can to get cash. Like and then at the end of all that, they might survive. Or another group may come in and purchase them, or it will turn into a cool. This brand is dissolving, and the just is what it is. I doubt it'll dissolve. They're almost too big for that. Someone will buy them, but what they can do during a Chapter 11 is renegotiate the maturity date on their loans. So like we said earlier, the maturity date of their loan is 2025, or of a lot of their debt is 2025. Well, they could renegotiate theoretically, hey, we have this plan, these are the things we're going to do, we're going to do X, Y, and Z.
They can buy some more time.
They can literally buy more time.
Well, I don't know that they can buy anything right now, but
no,
they can get more time.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can't buy anything.
Well, no. I mean, like, if you're talking to a debtor, basically, or a creditor, somebody you owe money to, you could say, hey, I'll give you an extra $100 million, but I need 10 more years. Or I need 5 more years, or I need another 6 months, whatever it is.
Yeah,
so like
true.
you can technically, and then that becomes a legal, you owe them that money. You can, in fact, buy more time when it comes to debt, but, I'm no financial expert. I'm no accountant. I am a guy that happens to know motorcycle stuff generally, and I invest in products and in companies generally that is not KTM.
Right. Yeah, not KTM.
Yeah.
And probably not ever. Something you said earlier was like, you said, I think somebody's going to buy them. And I do agree that someone is at least going to pick up the pieces. And because that KTM name,
is huge.
has recognition.
Yeah.
And if they can take that and they can do the proper under new management sign that you see on businesses.
Get us a big old, go to FedEx and get that under new management sign made.
Yeah.
Spend $100 on it.
Depending upon who that management is, it could be one of those things where in the future you say, you know what? I'm going to step back and look and see how they do.
Yeah,
and then you may even consider a KTM. Probably not,
I doubt it, but it's a possibility. Andy makes a good comment in chat. How do I think KTM would sell off MV Agusta, Pure Mobility 51, KTM 49? So why they split it like that is Pure Mobility is the holding company for KTM as well as a bunch of other brands. Pure Mobility retains 51% of the ownership of their share of MV Agusta. I don't believe, somebody fact check me here because I don't know. I don't believe MV Agusta is wholly owned by Pure Mobility or KTM. Like, I don't think they combined own 100%. I think they probably own somewhere in the neighborhood of like 52 to 55%. That's pretty general in the terms of company purchasing.
So, a quick Google. What? How do you say? Is it Perrier?
Yeah, it's like Perrier, like the water company.
Perrier Mobility AG. They own 50.1% of MV Agusta, and then the other 49.9% is owned by who I think was the former CEO Timur Sardarov. Probably butchering that name, but
sure.
So I think he was the big owner of MV Agusta, like kind of bought it out when it was at its previous low point.
Okay, so it's privately held then.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, Perrier owns literally just enough to say that they own the majority of it.
Right.
So they have what's called controlling interest in the company. Essentially what that means is, and of that, I mean, I don't know if what Andy has in there is correct, but if like Perrier owns 50.1 and then they have their ownership split within the company, 49% of that 50.1 is owned by KTM and 51 is by Perrier. That's just a way to prevent debt from racking up to a particular branch of your company.
Yeah.
So it's a way to spread out the debt. KTM, how a lot of these Chapter 11s work is KTM will sell their debt of MV Agusta to another brand under the Perrier Mobility family. But that brand has to actually have the cash to buy it from KTM. So that's what a lot of Chapter 11 stuff is like. You've got an umbrella company or a holding company that owns all these different brands, and they're just selling debt back and forth to each other. But theoretically, what you could do is take that 50% debt that KTM owns and spread it out across 10 brands that you own, and then everybody owns 5. Now, Perrier still owns all of it, but KTM doesn't have the liability of the full... Oh, my dishwasher's running. I was like, why is water draining in my kitchen?
You better go catch it.
Yeah, I was a little scared. But so that a lot of that debt restructuring is spreading out debt to ensure that, like, in the event MV Agusta fails or KTM fails, like, Perrier doesn't lose total ownership of an asset, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a lot of financial talk. Like weird.
Yeah, I'm going to forget all of it, but
yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
No, but I guess the high level thing is they have a bunch of these like holdings and groupings and parent companies that just to where they can distribute the load more tactfully so that ultimately the big group doesn't take the big hit.
Yeah, correct. So that's why you see all of these big groups that, like, there's KTM AG, and then there's KTM K and L. I think is like their parts and accessories, and then they have KTM Racing. It's actually a separate company from KTM, the motorcycle manufacturer. So, like,
yeah, I think it's KTM AG is kind of the one that owns KTM, Husqvarna, Gas, MV Agusta motorcycles, and then there's the other, and then that rolls up to
that rolls up to Perrier eventually. Yeah, exactly. So what we'll see, I'd be willing to bet, is a restructuring of this $300 billion. Yankee, honestly, that's, Bo, you'd probably make a good deal here in like 6 to 8 months. You could probably work that out. You might have to make it like $4.99 just to be sure that the asset protection is there for you.
Man, I cannot wait to see that model, the KTM Boner.
Oh, God.
The suspension is a little... Never mind.
Yeah, sorry for the economics class there, Andy. But yeah, me and my dad... Yeah, I almost went into finance, and me and my dad spend a lot of time talking about this kind of stuff, because I just also find it interesting. It's just neat.
It is. I mean, it is, because at some point, all the dollars have to align somewhere. It's just how much of it goes where and how much of it is, kicking the can down the road for whatever else and somebody
Yeah.
else's problem later. But I mean, it is not a good situation for them right now.
Yeah. They're spread ultra thin on every front. And they are. I have no doubt that they are going to sell Invia Gusta for pennies on the dollar. They will probably sell Gas for pennies on the dollar. They will probably hit Chapter 11 end of Q1 next year when this 90 days period is up, or late Q1 2025. You're going to see a full Chapter 11, and I think someone is going to buy KTM. There's a real, and that's it's going to have to be something where like Perrier is doing that to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And I who do you think would buy him? That's a good question. We could play that game.
I don't see any of the big four buying.
Yeah, the Japanese brands aren't going to touch it.
No, I mean, I could see conversations with a CF Moto. There's another big company there, like QJ Motors in China.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're massive. See a lot of them in Europe.
Yeah. I don't see like Triumph doing it.
No, I don't think Triumph has. I love Triumph. I just got back from a press launch with them. They were absolutely fantastic. I don't think they're liquid enough to pull off something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're too small a company. Harley, I would be willing to bet they're in a little bit of trouble right now, but I think that they could buy a portion of control of KTM in exchange for buying some of the debt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a smart deal, but it's something that they've done for a number of other brands over the years, so it wouldn't surprise me. And then they'll steal a lot. I don't say steal. They will use a lot of the technology that KTM has put together. Their TCS systems are really great. Their IMUs are fantastic. So as Harley finally makes their way into the future with this 1250 engine they have, I wouldn't be surprised if Harley bought it, but my bet's probably BMW.
Because they used to own Husqvarna, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Did they have gas, or was that its own thing?
Gas is technically, I think it's an Italian company. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was started as a Spanish
Gas?
brand, which is why it was named Gas, because it was.
No, but Spanish. You're right.
Yeah, because there was something in the translation of. It was to give it more accelerator, go fast, something in that, vernacular. And when it translated to English, it was like gas. It's like, but that's catchy, I guess. So
yeah, all right. So, sure, why not?
Okay, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, CF Moto. It would be interesting to see them buy the company that like technically owns them. I think what would really happen there is CF Moto would buy their stock back. Because like technically KTM owns some of CF Moto. CF Moto could basically just buy those stock shares back from them to maintain control of themselves and flush KTM with cash. So there's a good possibility we see that. I think BMW or the Volkswagen group, basically Audi, Ducati, basically.
Yeah.
Volkswagen loves buying stuff that sucks and somehow making it worse. So it wouldn't surprise me if they would do that.
Yeah. Well, and it could be even some company that's not even in motorcycling at all or automotive that just is like, we'll take a shot at it.
Yeah, it could be a really, 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 really stupid like investment firm. We just got to find a big enough idiot.
Well, it'll be interesting when we talk about this in a year or two to
in
see
March.
where they are. Yeah, if they're already just, or maybe we need to hold like a telethon and raise money for KTM.
Listen, I'm pretty sure I've got like $10. I'm pretty sure we could buy KTM for $10.
we got to wait for the right time. But
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Boner's offering $5 and a Triumph, so. It's a pretty good deal.
I don't know, because I'm not even thinking I'd trade in my Ruckus for anything with it. So
No, I'd give him about $350.
$3.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100%. Oh yeah. Well, everyone, message me what your talent is. We'll put you on the benefit that we will live stream 24 hours for KTM and see if we can help them out here. So,
yeah. Bananas.
Oh wow. You know what it's time for?
A nap?
Let's get some life advice.
Oh God.
It's my favorite time of the week. Finally, time for the ghost tip. Yay!
Oh, I think KTM has missed a few
This is
tips.
sponsored by Ghost on Two Wheels over on Instagram. Of course.
KTM has been missing tips.
All right, ghost tip of the week. If you get a new TV for Christmas, put the box next to your neighbor's garbage can so you don't get robbed. I mean,
okay, good point. I did get a new TV on Black Friday. The box is still in my garage because I'm gonna wait a good long while before I put that thing out there.
Yeah. Now, granted, TVs now do not cost nearly what they did.
No.
I'd be
got a great deal on mine too.
I would be embarrassed to tell you what we paid for our 52-inch TV that we still have, fortunately. But compared to what you could get that same TV for now, that's thinner and higher resolution and etc.
Yeah, I just got the another. I'm a big fan of the TCL brand of TVs.
Mm-hmm.
Like my monitor right here is a 42-inch TCL. But I just bought a 65 for $300 on Black Friday. And it's it's a Roku, it comes with this little remote, and it's got the Netflix button and Disney Plus and Hulu, and it's just a Roku TV. It's a smart TV, and it's great. I love that fucking thing, and it's super cheap. And this one's lasted me 6 years, and I think this one was $150.
Well, okay. Well,
there you go. Motorcycle and TV advice from your boy Fatty Rick.
Well, we still have our 52-inch Samsung that we got in 2008. And so,
that fucker was expensive.
it was 4 figures, and
yeah,
that was a year before old Spectre was in the picture. So we were like, hey, double income, no kids,
the good old yeah. Did you have a dog at the time?
No, it did not.
Oh, you weren't dinkwads. My wife and I are dinkwads. Double income, no kids with a dog. Dinkwad.
No, we were just the dinks.
Oh yeah,
Hobbit of Chaos, member for 13 months.
A year of chaos, I think. Yes, let's get it. Hashtag get Hobbit a bike. Hashtag get Hobbit a new truck. Hashtag unpaid unofficial intern. Send me to a launch or something. Oh, buddy.
So we're gonna have a benefit for Hobbit instead of KTM.
Yeah, really. I know he's been having some truck trouble, and he's been having some truck trouble for a hot minute. And I think it finally let itself go. Hobbit, is that the case?
Yeah. Well, I mean, vehicles really.
See you later, Bo.
Bye, Bo. Don't go yank your ride. What? Yeah, vehicles are, other than KTM, one of the worst investments you can make.
Oh yeah, it's an instantly depreciating asset unless you're buying a Ferrari, a Porsche, or something that costs 7 figures.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, or if you happen to get something that's going to be a classic in 20, 30 years, but you don't know.
No one
But
does.
I can tell you, my Honda Accord is not going to be a classic. There's 18 billion of them on the planet, so.
Okay, there's way more than that.
Okay, my bad. But I still have a 2002 Honda Accord, so.
That fucker runs like a champ, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did have to have the transmission rebuilt in it.
That's right. Yeah, but you've got 200,000 miles on it?
220, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
that's probably the first real big major thing you've had to do to it, other than timing kits.
Yeah, timing belts. I replaced the ignition coils a couple years ago, which So
Yeah.
it was. I still think the transmission is a little meh. That it may just need to be like fully replaced again or something. But
Did you put a rebuilt unit in there or like a used one?
I think it was a rebuild, just because at the time it was less
Yeah, no,
expensive, and
understandable.
it was it was after we bought the TV, so we didn't have any money. No, but it was still at a time where it was a bigger financial burden, and so you had to just like
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point when it makes sense to spend money on the car that doesn't have a car payment.
right. So like if the transmission went out now on it, and it's what $3,000-$4,000, probably $5,000, I don't know with costs these days, but it's a few $1,000s for a new transmission.
Yeah, it ain't cheap.
Yeah, it ain't cheap, but if everything else in the car's good, get
Yeah.
a new transmission, and then you've got that Honda's going to go for another 200,000 miles. So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right, man. Well, that was a lot on KTM.
Yeah, I didn't think we were talking that much about KTM, but I went on a tangent. Here we are. Pretty
yeah.
on brand for me.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of wrap it up, as a motorcycle enthusiast, I do appreciate all brands. I know I started like, I don't like KTM. I'm not a fan of, but I do like the fact that there are multiple brands. There are options. There are, things out there to promote the sport or the hobby, however you want to look at it. So I do hope that they come out of this and become a quality, reliable option in the future.
I'm hoping so.
Not sure it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, like when you go back to think about it, like before the big four Japanese brands got their reputation for being ultra reliable, they were pretty crappy. And these brands will go through these, debt reformations and come out and end up understanding that, like, hey, in order to save the company, we need to build a reputation of being reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Because we need to not have to replace so much stuff under warranty. Like, that's why the big four did it. We don't want to be paying for shit under warranty, so we might as well just build the bike to last long on the front end.
Do it right the first time, and you don't have to do it multiple times.
Weird. Strange how that works.
I know. What a concept.
So, I mean, there's a good real possibility that if KTM can survive this in 10 years, KTM is ultra reliable, cost effective, and a really, really good bike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
There's also a real big possibility they don't see the end of 2025. So
that's true.
Ads on YouTube.
Like you say, I mean, it's growing pains. I think kind of the other side of that coin is the complacency. I think that's what they were. They were just humming along, thinking everything's gold, and just was like looked back and was like, we don't have any money. So
they were like, we could take a little more debt. We could take a little more debt. We could take a little more debt. And then they looked up and were like, shit.
We're going to make trillions from selling MV Agusta Brutales to everybody in the world.
Yeah.
They're going to pay $60,000 a bike, and we're going to just be rolling in the dough. And no. So
how many bikes does MV sell per year? I got it. Sales numbers. 2023. Oh my God.
Well, they sell like 300.
They sold in 2023 globally. That can't be right. 1,800 bikes?
That's not a lot. I mean, like I said, it's a status bike. What even said in their branding, like MV Agusta is motorcycle art. And yeah, it is. It looks good sitting there. It's not good for anything else. So,
yeah, that can't be right. Okay, so these are the numbers for 2022. Yeah, 2022 BMW sold 200,000 units. No, this is 2023. They sold 210,000 units, which is crazy. Royal Enfield, dude, their sales numbers are obscene from talking to them at so many launches this year.
They're growing, aren't they?
They sell 1 million bikes a year. It's obscene how many bikes that those guys sell. It's crazy.
What does Honda sell?
I don't know. Oh, TVS. Things that I like barely even know of. Let's see. Suzuki sold. Okay, these numbers don't make any sense. Okay, this is an Indian website. These are all numbers just for in India. Let's try to figure out.
How about this? Honda motorcycles. A report from motorcyclesdata.com. In 2024, after the first 8 months of the year, sales figures have been 13.07 million.
Crap. That's obscene.
And they still got 4 months to go.
Yeah.
So that was like at the end of August, early September. So 1,800 units from MV Agusta.
That's why I'm like, I don't think this makes sense.
Well, I don't know. That may be something to look into later on, but I hope they figure it out, man.
Oh my God, no, that's accurate. 2023 MV Agusta was able to deliver globally 1,823 units, falling 42.5% over the previous year.
Oof. No bueno.
So the only reason KTM Perrier bought 25% of KTM like in 2021 to give them some operating cash. KTM in November of 23 bought that 25% from Perrier to give Perrier operating cash. So they've been restructuring debt.
Not well.
Not well. Not well.
Well,
yeah, because MV Agusta failed their restructuring plan.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So anyway, a lot of work to do over there in Austria and such. So what I think we can do now is in a couple of weeks, I think we wrap up the season with a best of show.
Yeah.
I think we maybe we could do like a little tournament of bikes or something.
Yeah, okay.
But also if there's some outstanding bikes that you've seen that surprised you, over any events that you've been to, you've gotten to ride on or, head in, you and Chase have been looking at. But we'll kind of take a look back at the year, see what were the big bikes, what were the not so good things at KTM, and go from there. But one last thing before we go, I got a little game I want to put you on the spot.
Oh, God dang it.
Alphabet soup of motorcycle companies.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing there.
So I don't know that every letter has one. I thought of a few, and I thought I'm going to ask Pat because he probably can do these better than I can. All right. So A.
Aprilia.
B.
BMW.
C.
Hold on. Oh my God. Oh, CF Moto. Duh.
D.
Ducati.
E. I've got one in mind, although I think they may be kind of defunct now.
Ooh.
Energica, are they still?
Oh, no, they're still a thing. I don't know if that's motorcycles
They make electric motorcycles.
Okay, fine. I'll give it to you.
All right. F.
Motorcycle companies that start with F.
F Moto. I don't know that there is one.
I don't know if there is one.
Okay. So we'll get the F out.
Yep.
G.
Gas.
E, F, G, H.
Husky.
Honda.
Yeah.
I.
I don't know.
Indian.
Oh, duh.
J. I got one for this one.
Janus.
There you go. That was it.
Yep.
J. K.
KTM. Kawasaki. Yeah.
Gosh, I always have
L.
HIJKL.
Lada? Do they make motorcycles still? They used to.
A lot of wrong answers.
Yeah, Lada is a Russian
No.
car company, but they made motorcycles a long time ago.
What is there's like a cheap Chinese. I've seen it on like Market Lifan or something.
Sure, I'll take your word for it.
Okay. M.
Me gusta.
N.
Norton?
Norton. O. I couldn't think of one for this.
Ooh, hold on. Oh.
Oh.
Oh no, I don't know. Hold on. Let's.
Oh, you're Googling the O's, huh?
Yeah, because I don't know if they're. Oh, I don't think that counts.
Maybe there's not an O.
Orange County Choppers.
I mean,
Opel. Opel used to make motorcycles.
Okay.
Yep.
P.
The Perrier Group. I don't know.
Let's
Hold on. Piaggio.
I was just thinking, what's the scooter one? Piaggio. NOPQ. QJ. Like QJ Motors.
QJ Motors. Yeah.
So
QJ Motors.
R.
Oh God, I feel like there's a lot.
You've done a few of their events.
Oh, Royal Enfield, duh. But oh my gosh, Jesus
S.
Christ. Suzuki.
T.
Triumph.
U.
Ural.
Attaboy. V.
V. Oh man, do they still make motorcycles? I don't think they do.
I don't know the V one.
Vanderhild? Vanderhild?
You're making that up.
No, Victory. There's also Victory.
Vic.
Yeah, but they don't exist anymore, but still.
Oh, well. TUV. W.
W.
I don't know if there's a W that I know of.
I have no idea. I'm sure there's something here to the Google machine. To the Google machine. Wabo, Waco, Wackox, Wacan, Walt Silt Motorcycles.
Watch your mouth.
Walter? Like, Walther. Walter, like the gun company? 1928 to 1932 made motorcycles. I don't think that counts. No brands I've ever heard of.
None.
So,
okay. X. I don't know if any of that would be X.
Probably
Xylophone motorcycles.
Yeah, I mean, probably something Japanese.
Y.
Chinese. Yamaha. Duh.
Z.
Zero.
Hey.
I feel like we did okay. We only had to guess or skip a couple of them.
Yeah, I put it on you because I was thinking about a few already, so I just wanted to put you on the spot there. That was fun.
Yeah, that's fun. What about car companies though? There's so many more car companies. I feel like.
Well, if you want to do a live on Four Wheels episode,
yeah, maybe.
So, all right, gang, let's wrap this up. Next time, probably a couple weeks, we'll do a best of show.
Yeah.
Bring in your nominations for bike of the year. Maybe we'll do something like best new bike, best adventure bike, and CFE.
Yeah, we'll do a couple. Well, we should probably look at like last year's. Did we do one last year?
Probably do something like that. But yeah, I mean, we could see if there's like any new models that have dethroned some of the old stable, bikes that have been around. But so we'll see. And I think we'll probably maybe we'll have a couple more prizes or something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So, all right. Well, Pat, enjoyed it. Thanks for taking some time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I feel like I've missed a lot of it this year, and I'm sorry, gang. It's been a real chaotic year for me.
There's been a lot of things happening, especially in the past few months for everybody, but we're making it, y'all. So,
yeah,
thanks, everyone.
That's what we're doing, making it. Yes,
we are, man. We are, but we appreciate everyone's support that's here, always just rooting us on and having fun with us. So we'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you guys have a great rest of your Thursday.
I need to see if I have the fart sound here.
Ride smart, ride safe, make good choices. Don't invest in KTM
sack
right
of
now.
shit. You should feel bad. You should feel real bad right now.
Oh, that was the boner quote. Well, all right. We'll see y'all next time, fellas.
Bye.
Where's the outro button? KTM looks ugly too.